And to discuss Israel's support to these armed militant groups, Chris Doyle, who is Director of Council for Arab-British Understanding, is joining us live on the broadcast from London. Chris Doyle, appreciate you joining us on the broadcast here on WION. Now, as we understand, as per this report that has surfaced, Israel is reportedly backing 4 armed groups. That is to remove Hamas from power even when ceasefire is in place. These groups, as we understand, have been fighting Hamas since the war began. Does this essentially mean that Israel wants to be de facto leaders in the region through the militias? Or is there a clear third front that is now emerging as governance model is also under question?
Well, these are very murky times. What Israel is doing is quite clearly to undermine the stability and security within Gaza during the ceasefire by promoting, arming and supporting these other groups. Now, this means that it will be more dangerous on the ground for aid agencies, for Palestinians generally to operate there. It means it undermines that sense of peace that is there. But above all, in terms of what Israel is probably aiming to achieve, this divides Palestinians, it creates bad blood between them. These groups are probably not strong enough to take on Hamas on their own, but they can be more than a nuisance. They can be a very serious threat, and it will engulf, Hamas in having to fight them on the ground in all sorts of areas. They will have the support of some of the people. Hamas by no means is popular in the Gaza Strip, not least after the last 2 years, but it still is by far and away the largest and most potent Palestinian armed actor in Gaza. This is a classic case then of divide and rule, and it's a way of trying to make it harder actually to bring about a successful ceasefire.
Yes, Mr. Doyle, taking cue from exactly what you said, that these militant groups are not strong enough to support themselves. These groups reportedly have the backing of some Arab countries as well, with vehicles that have UAE license plates that have been reportedly spotted at their operational sites. Does this mean that some Arab countries could be working in tandem with Israel on post-Gaza war plan?
Well, that would be getting into speculation, but certainly the UAE has had a very openly anti-Hamas agenda. It doesn't like the Muslim Brotherhood. Of course, Hamas is the Palestinian branch of the Muslim Brotherhood. So in some ways, politically, this is not surprising. But really what those who want to see Gaza getting out of the sheer hell that it is in at the moment need to be doing is finding a political track out of this, because there isn't a military one. If Gaza is subsumed between interfactional fighting, this is not going to bring about peace or allow the rebuilding of Gaza. Hamas is under the cosh politically from the region. It's meant to be disarming somehow. Now, if you have other factions fighting it, it's going to be far less likely to want to disarm. They will want to protect themselves now, not just from Israeli forces, but also Palestinian armed rivals. So this is really quite a openly, nakedly open step to try to undermine the agreement that has been signed and delivered, because there are many within Israel and maybe elsewhere who simply don't want it to succeed.
Yes. Mr. Doyle, rightly put by you that these are sketchy details out in public domain as of now, but these militant groups working in tandem with the Israeli government. Quickly, if I were to get your opinion, what role can the EU play at this stage when the ceasefire deal is literally hanging by a thread?
Well, the EU has largely been silent, actually, through much of the last 2 years, even from the ceasefire. But I think that it needs to insert international legitimacy, get a Security Council mandate for a stabilization force that could go in and help sort this out, but also to make sure that reconstruction is done properly and is Palestinian-led, that is, Palestinians decide and determine the nature and direction of that reconstruction. So I think the EU can add a lot of flesh to very vague details in the proposals that the Trump administration has put forward.
Yes. Chris Doyle, appreciate you joining us on the broadcast, and important to also mention here that one of the 4 militant groups has its bases just less than a kilometer from the checkpost of the Israeli forces. Thank you for sharing your views with us.
Thank you.